Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we are diving into Entravision Communications Corporation's latest proxy statement, and let me tell you, it is a long one. We're going to untangle all the details. Think of it as trying to understand what everyone is really voting on at a school election, but with a lot more money involved. This document is basically Entravision laying out all the important stuff for its shareholders before their big annual meeting in May, letting them know who's up for election to the board, what accounting firm they want to keep using, and if they think their executives are getting paid fairly. First up, they need to elect 8 directors. These are the people who will be guiding the company till the next annual meeting. Think of it like picking the team captains. There's a lot of info on each candidate, including Paul Anton Zevnik, who's currently the chair, Michael Christensen, the chief executive officer, and also Femi Zeko. Mr. Zevnik has been around for a while, being a founding shareholder. Mr. Christensen is the chief executive officer, and Mr. Zeko has tons of experience in media investment banking. The document goes into what makes each one qualified and why the board thinks you should vote for them. Next, there's a vote to ratify the appointment of Deloitte and Touche as their independent accounting firm. Essentially, they want the shareholders to sign off on their choice of the people who keep their books in order. Finally, there's an advisory vote on executive compensation. It's a say-on-pay vote. This is where shareholders get to voice their opinion on whether the top executives are being paid too much, too little, or just right, but the vote doesn't force them to do anything. Digging deeper, the document describes how Entravision's board is structured. They highlight which directors are considered independent, meaning they don't have close ties to the company management. This is important because it's meant to ensure that the board is acting in the best interest of the shareholders. The board has determined that people such as Brad Bender, Gilbert Vasquez, and Lara Sweet are independent. It also mentions how many meetings the board and its committees held throughout the past year and how often the directors showed up. Apparently, everyone was pretty diligent in attending their meetings. Risk management is a big deal. This document describes how the board keeps an eye on the various risks the company faces, from financial risks to strategic ones. The audit committee is especially focused on financial risk, while the compensation committee looks at risks related to how employees are paid. To make sure the directors' interests are aligned with the shareholders, they have stock ownership guidelines. That is, they have to own a certain amount of company stock, a value of at least 4 times the value of their annual cash retainer. This is to make sure they are invested in the company doing well. Let's talk about board committees. The Audit Committee, Compensation Committee, and Nominating Corporate Governance Committee are the main groups, made up of independent directors. The Audit Committee oversees the accounting practices and risks. The Compensation Committee decides how much the executives get paid, and the Nominating Corporate Governance Committee is in charge of finding new director candidates. Moving on to the executive compensation. This section talks about how much the top executives are making. For 2024, the named executive officers were Michael Christensen, Jeffrey Lieberman, and Mark Bolker. 2 former executives, Carl Meyer and Christopher Young, are also included. Wrench was thrown into the works when Meta, the parent company of Facebook, decided to end its partnership program with Entravision. This had a huge impact on Entravision's revenue, and the company didn't change the bonus goals for the executives. The company says its goal is to pay its executives competitively to attract and retain good people. They look at what similar companies are paying, but the target for executive compensation value was below the median compensation level of similarly situated executives in the peer group. Now let's get to the numbers. The base salaries for the top guys in 2024 were Michael Christensen made $950,000, Jeffrey Lieberman made $800,000, and Mark Bolke made $669,500. Note the base salaries were unchanged from the prior year. There's also a bonus plan where executives can earn extra cash based on how well the company performs. The goals here were based on the company's revenue and adjusted EBITDA, which is basically a measure of profitability. However, because of the Meta situation, the company didn't hit those goals, so they didn't earn any bonus. However, even though the executives didn't meet the performance targets, the compensation committee decided to award discretionary bonuses of $100,000 to Mr. Bolker and Mr. Lieberman in recognition of their leadership and work with sales of EGP. There were also equity incentive plans with both restricted stock units and performance units. This means executives get stock that vests over time or if they hit certain stock price targets. The goal is to link executives' pay to the company's long-term success and retain them with the company. There are also some perks involved too. Executives get things like car allowances and better health insurance benefits. The document explains what happens if an executive is terminated or if there's a change in control of the company. Depending on the circumstances, they could receive severance payments, accelerated vesting of stock options, and continued health benefits. Interesting thing, for 2025, the company is shifting its executive compensation to focus more on equity and less on short-term cash. Base salaries have been reduced and the cash bonus plan has been put on hold. The proxy states that they don't time the release of important information to affect the value of executive compensation. It basically means they are not manipulating information so that the executives can cash out their stock options with an unfair advantage. Alright, let's glance at the summary compensation table. In 2024, Michael Christensen's total compensation was around $957,000. Mark Bouquet made around $1.7 million, and Jeffrey Lieberman made around $1.7 million. For 2024, the grants of stock awards was $816,000 for both Mark Bouquet and Jeffrey Lieberman. Outstanding equity awards show that between $400,000 and $500,000 was vested course grow.